Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. First and foremost, shout out to all of you folks for being wonderful. Mentioned that there was a little devious dip over the last several days, and just like that, boom, we're right back at it. So I appreciate all of you. Appreciate Joe for joining up on Patreon as a free member. Joe, keep hanging out there. I'll be sure to, pretty soon here, I'm going to put together a Senior Bowl article. I'll make sure that one is for all members, including the free guys. I don't remember if the last one was or not. I don't know. I didn't look. So whatever the default is, paid or free, is what that was. So sorry about that. Some stuff will be free, some stuff will not. But I appreciate you taking the time. I know that does take effort. You know what I mean? Listen to some random podcast. It's like, hey, go do this and then sign up here. And it's like, bro, I'm not doing all that. Just talk Packers and shut up, bro. So I appreciate you. Okie doke. Lot of interesting news out there. The Pittsburgh Steelers are rapidly becoming my favorite team ever. Not ever, but easily my second favorite team. I mean, it's like we're bringing the band back together. It's not just McCarthy and maybe Rodgers, which is there's no way in my mind Rodgers doesn't come back. That would be the worst. I'd be so pissed. I can forgive Rodgers for a lot of things. I would never forgive him for that. I want to go through a couple of the different things the Steelers have been up to, okay? So remember, Mike McCarthy, former Green Bay Packers coach, long-time Super Bowl winning coach, brought us the trophy, man. He is presumably going to have Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. That is the coolest thing ever. And again, outside of the Green Bay Packers, I'm in now. I was, when Rodgers first left, I was like, no, screw that guy. Then he went to the Steelers. It was like, yeah, still kind of screw him, but I'm happy for him. He's having a good time. Now, bro, I'm ready. This is it. This is there's the Packers and then there's the Steelers, and that's it. Those are my teams. Now again, if we cross paths at any point, screw them. And I do not want them to win a Super Bowl for the reasons I've already said. And maybe that's petty. I don't care. I can't stomach Rodgers having all those years in Green Bay, and he has just as many Super Bowls with the Steelers and the Packers. No way. Nope. No. But I hope he has a great time over there. Anyways, couple things the Steelers have been doing in no particular order. Let me pull up the full thing here. The Pittsburgh Steelers have requested an interview with Saints quarterback coach for their offensive coordinator vacancy. Do you know who the Saints quarterback coach is? It's Scott Tolzien. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler notes that Tolzien was on the Packers roster as a quarterback under current Steelers head coach Mike McCarthy. McCarthy also hired Tolzien as an offensive assistant with the Cowboys in 2020 and promoted him to quarterback coach in 2023. You know what I love about this? McCarthy and Rodgers, as much as like they kind of butted heads at the end and they felt like they didn't, it was 100% the grass is always greener. Rodgers is like, I'm done with this. I'm over this. And then he went to LaFleur and he's like, I don't like this. I want to do what I did with McCarthy. I want McCarthy back. And then he left that and he's like, I hate this so much. I want LaFleur back. Right? It was whatever. But this is like a love story. As stupid as this sounds, there is no better way to describe this. This is a love story. You had these two, they were together. They had beautiful times together, Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff. And then they broke up. And they both kind of went their separate ways. It got ugly, whatever, kind of. Not really, but let's just say. And then they went with some other people, and they were never really happy. And then they realized that they were the happiest when they were together. And they're back together again. It's like it's like juicy man drama, but it's like juicy. What do you call it? Not juicy. It's I should stop saying juicy so much. It's not like chick flicks. What was the? Kind of like Lifetime, I think. Right? Is it Lifetime or Hallmark or what the heck? I don't know. It doesn't matter. You get what I'm saying. This is again. I don't understand those movies, But then when you translate it to football, it's like, oh, I get it now. I get it. I'm so happy for them. I'm such a loser now. So yeah, Scott Tolzien, and he didn't get the job yet, but Rodgers, and again, this is where they realize they're the same person. You know, Rodgers, we'd always make fun of him because he always wanted the same people back. He wanted his old quarterback coach back. He wanted this wide receivers coach to be his quarterback coach simply because he was like his best friend and he wanted him back in Green Bay. So he's like, I want that guy. That's who I want. Is he a quarterback? No, he's a wide receiver guy, but I don't care. He's my best friend. I want him in Green Bay with me to hang out. He just wants his crew with him all the time. He wanted Lazard with him. He wants Devontae with him. Apparently, McCarthy is the same way. He likes Scott Tolzien, had him in Green Bay, brought him with him to Dallas. Now he wants to bring him with him to Pittsburgh. I mean, McCarthy right now is trying to put the band back together. And if you didn't know any better, you'd say, oh, he's working real hard to get Rodgers back. No, this is just McCarthy, dude. McCarthy and Rodgers they are simpatico. They think alike. They want to run offenses the same way. They love the same philosophies. They have the same ideas. They want to bring back the 2011 Green Bay Packers. Like the same people. You know, I would be willing to bet they're making phone calls to like Josh Sitton. Like, bro, what are you doing, man? You want to play? You want to coach? You want to, I don't know. What are you thinking? Strength and conditioning? Or what are you doing these days? But that's not all. Via Trey Carney, the Steelers have requested to interview the Saints' assistant offensive line coach. They're poaching all the Saints guys. Do you know who the Saints' assistant offensive line coach is? It's Jari Evans. Now, Jari Evans wasn't exactly a long-time Green Bay Packer, but he's a former Green Bay Packers offensive lineman. So we have a former quarterback that Mike McCarthy's trying to get to be his offensive coordinator, potentially. A former Green Bay Packers offensive lineman, they're trying to see if he wants to come in and be their offensive line coach. Evans is a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026. He played for the Saints from 2006 to 16 and finished his career in Green Bay. You'll never guess who his head coach was, it says. He will be the second assistant offensive line coach the Steelers will interview. But wait, that's not all. The Steelers are not just interviewing, they've actually made some hires. Who have they hired? The Steelers have hired James Campen as their new offensive line coach. So I think Jari would be the assistant offensive line coach. I don't know. James Campen is the new offensive line coach. Campen previously coached the Packers offensive line under head coach Mike McCarthy and notably served as the run game coordinator for one season as well. Campen has been out of football for the past 2 seasons, most recently having coached the Panthers offensive line from 2002 to 2003. Also has a very good relationship with Aaron Rodgers. There's no way Rodgers doesn't come back. It's impossible. I feel like I obviously want the Packers to play this year. That's the most important thing. But it's like I just as like a separate reality TV show, I just want to watch the frickin' Hard Knocks had better be the Steelers. I don't even as like the only Packer fan who wants it to be the Packers every year. Every other fan's like, no, keep the camera. I don't give a crap. I want the content. I want the entertainment. I want to see inside the Packers locker room, bro. Give me all that. No, it's bad for the team. I don't give a crap. I want, okay? Me, needy. You know what I mean? Like it's all about being selfish. It's about me and my entertainment, all right? Oh, it's bad for their bodies if you have more games. Yeah, but I like football and I want more games, okay? So give them another bye week and then give them another game. They get their rest. We get 2 more weeks of football. Quit your freaking crying. You get paid plenty of money. Give me my entertainment. I'm a bad person, all right? But anyways, I would love, as somebody who wants the Hard Knocks thing to be the Packers, it has to be the Steelers. Has to be the Steelers. Mike McCarthy and Rodgers. You don't want a camera in there with Rodgers screwing around with Campy, poking at him, calling him fat or whatever, I don't know, whatever it is he does. I don't know if I've ever been so excited for a non-Packers team in my life. And if Rodgers retires, I'm gonna frickin' lose it. Who else could they bring in, by the way? What's Jake Kummerow doing? I forgot Kummerow was a war hawk.
Someone is at at the front door.
Someone's at the front door. Yeah, he went to Whitewater. He's from Bartlett, close to where I grew up. Get Kumaro back as like a wide receiver coach or something. Jeez, let's go. Get Jordy off his tractor. Anywho, in addition to what the Steelers have done, well, let's do this first. The Falcons completed an interview with Bears assistant general manager Ian Cunningham. Been talking about that. Some of the Bears guys are lingering out there, the offensive coordinator, as well as this Ian Cunningham guy. As I've said, as many guys can be poached from our rivals, the better. I'm fine with it. I don't know if they're any good or whatever, but I figure it's a good thing. With that said, the Packers are actually starting to get poached a little bit, which is funny because it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really like this guy and I think we should move on. And then when they get poached, it's like, oh, dang, he was good. I want him back now. Why are they stealing our guys? The Dolphins are hiring Nathaniel Hackett, which is a rough one for Team Steelers, because that would have been a big one if they could have got Hackett over there. But he's going to be the quarterback's coach for the Dolphins. I've never been a big Hackett person. I was fine with him coming in as like some random assistant kind of floating around. As a quarterback, I whatever. Then it actually happened, which is pretty shocking. You talk about a fast riser, but as I said, it was always going to be a thing eventually. I was kind of hoping it would be with us. Eagles have hired Sean Mannion as their new offensive coordinator. Sean Mannion was a quarterback like 3 years ago. He was a freaking quarterback. We poached him. He's been here as a coach for like 2 years. As he was an assistant quarterback coach and then a quarterback coach, and now he's an offensive coach. I mean, this is a meteoric rise through the ranks to be able to rise that fast. At this rate, in 2-3 years, he's going to be a head coach. So, pretty wild. We'll see what happens over there. It's kind of a mess. So, we'll see if he can kind of square that away. He's going to have to learn the ways of the tush push, I guess. And then also in the news, I kind of have mentioned this already, but it's kind of getting bigger and getting a little interesting. I don't care about this stuff. As I've said, any of this voting stuff, I don't care. But the players care. It's a big deal to them. And so for that reason, I want it for the guys or whatever. I wish they didn't. I've said before, I wish they didn't care. But they do. MVP, Pro Bowl, obviously Hall of Fame is massive, even though I think that's been mismanaged and mishandled, which is disgraceful because of what it means to these people. It needs to be held in high regard and treated that way, and it's not. Well, this Hall of Fame thing with Bill Belichick has really become a fiasco in a way that I'm not used to seeing. We'll see things that, the fans don't really like or whatever, but nobody else really cares. You don't hear from coaches or owners or anything like that. It's not a big deal. At least, it is to us. It's not to them. They don't care. This has really ruffled some feathers. So if you're not aware, Bill Belichick is, I don't know that it's disputed, the greatest head coach in NFL history. His statistics, his accolades are completely unrivaled. Just a little blurb here. He began his NFL coaching career in 1975 as a special assistant to the Baltimore Colts. Rose through the ranks, serving as defensive coordinator for the Giants under Bill Parcells, where he helped win 2 Super Bowls. In 91, he became head coach of the Cleveland Browns, posting a 36-44 record over 5 seasons before being fired. After stints as assistant coach with the Patriots and Jets, he was hired as a head coach for the New England Patriots in 2000, a role he held for 24 months until parting ways. 24 seasons, did I say months? Until parting ways after the 2023 season. During his Patriots tenure, Belichick built a dynasty along quarterback Tom Brady, achieving unprecedented success. Post-Patriots, Belichick did not land an NFL head coaching job in 2024, despite interviewing with teams, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Here are his career achievements, though. Super Bowl wins, 8, 6 as head coach, 2 as an assistant, most by any coach in NFL history. All 6 head coaching wins came with the Patriots, 2001, 2003, 2004, 2014, 16, and 18. 333 regular season and postseason wins. third all-time behind Don Shula and George Halas, but holds the record for most postseason wins with 31. 19 playoff appearances, which is most by a head coach. 17 consecutive division titles, 2009 through 2019, longest streak in NFL history. That one probably will not be broken. Three-time NFL Coach of the Year, 2003, 7, and 10, which is a travesty that it was only 3 times. I think they just kind of get bored, and they're like, well, obviously he's great. It's stupid that he only won it that many times. Also named the NFL 100th anniversary all-time team and NFL 2010 all-decade team. Overall head coaching record stands at 302-165 in the regular season, 31-13 in the playoffs, giving him a 647 win percentage. The story here, though, is that he was snubbed. This guy is the most automatic, obvious. I mean, this is like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. It's not a question. On January 27, 2026, ESPN reported that Belichick failed to receive the required 40 votes, making him ineligible for induction into the class of 2026. Belichick reportedly received a call from the Hall on January 23rd informing him of the outcome, leaving him puzzled and disappointed. He allegedly remarked to an associate, 6 Super Bowls isn't enough. The decision appears to be rooted in Spygate in 2007 and Deflategate in 2015. Reports indicate these scandals were discussed during voter deliberations. One anonymous voter cited former Bills and Colts GM Bill Polian, a Hall of Famer and committee member, as influencing the outcome. That's been one of the major fallouts here. His son has come out and has been like, these are lies. Like he didn't say these things and all this stuff. Reportedly, Polian urged voters to wait a year as penance for the scandals, swaying enough members to block Belichick's bid. Some voters may also harbor personal grudges, viewing Belichick as arrogant or uncooperative with media. Bro, who gives... I'll frickin' strangle somebody. You're going to be that petty to the greatest to ever do it? Because what? He didn't like nuzzle up to you enough in your media sessions, you frickin' loser? Oh, he wasn't nice to me? This isn't about you, you stupid, arrogant jag-off. This is obvious, and this is where it gets a little weird. I mean, not only is this shocking, and stupid things happen, but again, usually it doesn't really rise to it being like a problem. The NFL does a very good job of keeping kind of everybody in line. Players might pop off, but that's fine. Coaches largely keep their mouths shut. Front office people keep their mouths shut. Owners keep their mouths shut for the most part. You get a couple guys get a little liquored up and, they're billionaires. They do whatever they want. But for the most part, everyone's pretty lockstep. This is different. This has really rattled some people. The snub has sparked widespread outrage, described as the worst snub in NFL history and an unprecedented gaffe, which it is. I mean, this is a big. Again, the biggest problem here isn't just that Bill Belichick is, because he's going to get in. It's just that he has to wait a year or whatever. It's not just that it's completely disrespectful to Bill Belichick, who is deserving of being first ballot. It's the fact that you're making a mockery of the entire thing. The entire Hall of Fame is being made a mockery. And what does that do to guys like Bart Starr? What does that do to the legends who are in the Hall of Fame when you crap all over it and say the Hall of Fame is just some stupid little tool that I can wield around if I just don't feel like putting somebody in or whatever? It makes the whole thing a joke. And that is disgraceful. And nobody that treats the Hall of Fame that way should be in charge of deciding who gets into the Hall of Fame. There needs to be a level of reverence for the Hall of Fame that there just isn't, and it's disgraceful. It's bad enough that they let people in that shouldn't be in, which lowers the quality of it, but now you have people just wielding it like this and treating it like some kind of a tool for personal vendettas. This needs to be rooted out immediately because, again, I don't give a crap about the Hall of Fame. I think it's stupid, and I don't think players should care about it, but players do care about it. It means everything to these guys. These people have given their entire life to football, and these grown, tough men will break down in tears as they're finally inducted into the Hall of Fame. It means that much. I watch Hall of Fame Green Bay Packers, where this is like the greatest moment of their entire life that they're being inducted into the Hall of Fame. This isn't just about Bill Belichick. It's about what you're doing to guys like Leroy Butler. It's a stain on his gold jacket. It's freaking shameful. LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes have called it insane. Fans and media echoed sentiments like WTF, cheating scandal at heart of snub. The Hall issued a statement acknowledging the passionate reaction from fans, media, and enshrinees, while threatening action against any selectors who leaked voting details violating bylaws. So the funny thing about this is they came out and they're like, anybody that broke the rules will be punished. And a lot of people were thinking that it's like the voters who were trying to keep them out for petty reasons. Well, no, they're allowed to look at Spygate as a reason because that happened on the field. You just can't use off the field stuff. They're not talking about that. They're talking about people that leaked details, which I'll admit you shouldn't be doing that. But it's just like the NFL comes out rather than trying to rectify the situation. They're seemingly trying to do a better job of covering it up. Guys, stop leaking the details. But there are coaches saying they're not going to the Hall of Fame now. They won't be going to the ceremony and all this in protest. I don't know. I find it. I mean, they're making a mockery of it, and it's, this is your product. This is the NFL. I mean, it's. They've done such a good job over the years, especially back in the day, of romanticizing this thing and, the beauty of the sport and the violence and the passion. And, you think about Vince Lombardi and just, it's such a historic and beautiful and violent and just amazing sport. And then you get stuff like this where it's like just petty, ridiculous, stupid nonsense. And it's like a joke, and at some point, when are we going to, I don't know. You're just hollowing out your product. You need to start holding these things with reverence, and I don't think that that's what happened. I mean, they may think that that's what they're doing by saying, "Well, he cheated, so it's important." No, that's you're being an idiot. I mean, as people have pointed out, like, does Sean Payton now not get in because of the whole, frickin' Bountygate thing? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that I don't know. I mean, Brett Favre, should we take his jacket away because he's had some issues, scandals? We're going to nitpick through everybody's life and everybody's this, that, or the other, and act like the guy didn't win 6 frickin' Super Bowl. I don't know. Anywho, why don't we take a break? We'll see what else we got on the other side. I do have some NFL draft stuff. We'll see what else is over here. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, another little issue that popped up. I wasn't even aware of it. You might have heard somebody on Packernet After Dark called in and mentioned it. Green Bay Packers offensive tackle Rasheed Walker, 25, arrested on Friday, January 23rd at LaGuardia Airport in New York City. The arrest occurred at Terminal C while he was checking in for a Delta Airlines flight. Walker informed an airline employee that his checked luggage contained a locked box with a handgun, prompting the employee to alert Port Authority police. Upon searching the bag, authorities discovered a 9mm Glock pistol, 36 rounds of ammunition inside a locked case. Police stated Walker presented the firearm for inspection without the proper credentials required under New York law. Now, in my opinion, this whole thing is completely stupid. He just didn't understand proper proceedings. He didn't do anything wrong. He's just like, hey, dude, so I got a gun. I got it locked away. No big deal. You don't have the paperwork. Absolutely ridiculous. Charged 2 counts of second-degree criminal possession of a weapon. I mean, how freaking crazy is that? 1 count of criminal possession of a firearm. He appeared in Queens County Criminal Court later that day and was released without bail. His next court appearance is scheduled for March 19th. Walker's attorney described it as a misunderstanding, emphasizing that the firearm was legally licensed in Wisconsin, where Walker resides. The attorney stated Walker was unaware of New York's strict gun laws prohibiting such transportation without specific permits, and he expressed confidence that the charges would be dismissed, as they should be. Packers have now issued a statement on the matter as of the latest reports, but the incident comes amid Walker's role as a starting left tackle for the team. That's really the biggest reason that I would bring that up. I mean, there's potential for NFL discipline. There's a question of whether Rasheed stays with the team anyways. And maybe that decision has already been made one way or another, but this isn't great. Again, Rasheed Walker was a success story, 7th-round pick, starting left tackle, very good left tackle. Suddenly doesn't play very well. Now there's like this lingering thing, which I think is stupid, but I don't know what the NFL is going to think. I don't know what the Green Bay Packers are going to think and how that could impact things. But the guy is a free agent, and so, I don't know. I do think there's a decent chance he could come back. Again, there's a lot of people that I don't know, he's gone, whatever. Look, as I've said before, I think everybody has a price. Everybody's worth something to somebody. And although I do think Morgan is the future at left tackle, how amazing would it be, especially considering the struggles we've had on our offensive line, injuries and otherwise, to have a guy like Rasheed that's a solid backup option. Morgan goes down, we don't miss a beat. You know what I mean? The counter would be, well, somebody's going to offer him a ton of money to be a left tackle. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what other people out in the market are going to value him at and what the Packers are going to value him at. I can't imagine the Packers are going to just look at Rasheed and say, I just don't want him. He's 25 years old. He's not going to cost a ton of money. He may if you're competing with starting offensive tackle money at other places if they're willing to go all in on the guy. Which they may, I don't know. But I'm just saying I would leave it somewhat open. And on one side, this may hurt the chances of him coming back. On the other side, it may help. As much as I hate to be kind of, it's kind of a stupid thing, but it may be a reality if that does hurt his chances of being a starting left tackle. Again, I would doubt that, but I don't know. I don't know what other people's perceptions are. That's kind of the point. I don't want to assume that I know what people's perceptions are, so I want to leave the options open, whether that be him going off and making a ton of money somewhere or possibly coming back on a relatively modest contract. My guess is that the Packers would like to retain him. They're going to slap a piece of paper down saying, here's how much we're willing to pay you. Rasheed and his agent are going to laugh and go look around, and if they can find something better, they'll go somewhere else. If they can't, he stays. All right, so for today, I'm not going to go big into the Senior Bowl. Biggest reason is I haven't really finished kind of getting all caught up on what we have so far with the practices. By the way, today was the third practice. So practices were the 27th, 28th, 29th open practices in Mobile, Alabama. Friday, January 30th, when you guys will be listening to this, there's the Mardi Gras Player Parade. It's a free public event featuring players in the festive parade. And then you have the Senior Bowl concert, also on Friday. Live music. Check out official site for performers. Then Saturday, January 31st, Fan Fest presented by Coca-Cola. Free fan activities, autographs, and entertainment. And then later on, Saturday, January 31st, you have the game, the national team versus the American team. So I think what I'll probably do is tomorrow do a little bit of a recap on the practices, which again are the majority. You would think the game is the most important. The practice is going to be the majority of the news, but the game is obviously going to matter. So tomorrow we'll do a little bit of a recap, and then probably the next day we'll talk about the additional news from the actual game itself. I bring up the schedule mostly for your to kind of keep you abreast of where we're at with that whole situation, and to inform you tomorrow. You're going to want to probably watch the game if you're interested and if you can. But again, today I'm not going to. What I do want to do, and this is one of the better follows just in general as a Packer fan, but also in the offseason. And I don't know where the guy gets the connections and whatnot from. He's had some home runs regarding the Green Bay Packers. But anywho, Easton Butler is a very good follow on social media. And one of the things that he does very well is gets updates on the Green Bay Packers and who they're visiting with. in all the different events. And he actually has a Google spreadsheet, a document that you can follow, prospect visit tracker. You can find that over on his, if you go to his X account. They've already met with a bunch of different people so far. There was the FCS Showcase, the January 4th and 5th, the Hulu Bowl, the College Gridiron Showcase, the Dream Bowl, the American Bowl, the East-West Shrine, which we were just talking about, and now the Panini Senior Bowl, where they've met with at least one person. There's also an on-campus meeting that they have down here. So what I'm saying is, I'd like to go through some of the guys that we've met with so far. Not that it matters. There's so many, the actually type people that always want to correct everybody. They're like, it doesn't matter who they meet with. It doesn't mean they're going to draft them. I kind of understand that, but it's, number one, it's not useless. They do draft several people that they meet with. If you go back and look at people we've drafted, did they meet with them at some point? Yes is the answer a lot of times. Not that you can just pick it out from this, but that's number one. Number two, you can kind of pick up on patterns of what positions they seem to be hammering. Number three, and most importantly, it's just an excuse for us to talk about prospects. It's a continuing process of trying to familiarize ourselves with these names, saying them over and over again, talking about them over and over again. And so that's kind of part of what this is. So again, I want to go through this. There's quite a few prospects here. And it's just going to be, again, a good way to start familiarizing ourselves with some of these guys. I tell you what, it's kind of absurd, but why don't we take a break now, and that way we can just hit the ground running and run through some of these prospects. Sound good? Good. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, so let's go through some of these. The first one is the FCS Showcase that was earlier in January. The Green Bay Packers via Easton Butler met with William and Mary senior cornerback Jalen Jones. He actually isn't on the consensus big board. Doesn't mean he's not really draftable. Just means that he's not on their radar at all. We'll see if he ends up getting slotted in here at all. He is a small school guy coming out of William and Mary, which is going to be the biggest issue. Listed at 6 foot 195. Grades are fantastic. His coverage grades have been 80, 74, 71, and 76. Kind of known for his ball skills, 8 interceptions, 21 pass breakups. Probably more of a slot guy, but we'll see. Obviously, we need some help there. Could be UDFA, something to keep an eye on. By the way, my son now, he's been doing this for years. He grades prospects for the draft and everything, and I just got him set up now. He's got his own tablet, like a nice one, not a piece of crap kid's tablet, and he has access to the whole film database so he can watch all 22 of these college prospects. I showed him how to do that. And then I got him set up on my website, nflbigboard.com, and he's got his own big board over there now, so he's going to start getting to work. He is geeked out, excited. So just a little heads up, there will be a point in time when he and I will both have boards, and I will be encouraging you guys to sign up, preferably for his, if you can. I'll tell him to set the bar to entry very low, but anywho, we'll get there. Okay, next up, the only other guy that they met at that event was AJ Pena out of Rhode Island. I can't find him either on PFF or NFL Mock Draft database, but he is a linebacker. He is listed at 6'2", 243 pounds, so pretty big dude. Multiple first-team All-American honors in the FCS CAA Defensive Player of the Year in 2025. Finished the season with 89 tackles, 21 tackles for a loss, 11 sacks, 3 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. Put up top-tier FCS backer numbers in tackles for a loss and sacks, a disruptive presence off the edge. At the Hulu Bowl, they met with Syracuse tight end Dan Valeri. This guy is a little bit higher up, draftable, 248 on the consensus big board. PFF has him listed at 6'4", 245. Been at Syracuse for 4 years, 1 year at Michigan prior to that. It's been starting for roughly 3 years. Grades are subpar for sure. 60s and 50s for his receiving grades, 50s and 40s for his pass blocking grades, 50s for his run blocking grades. He is kind of one of those tight end / H-back type of guys, kind of, fullbacky. As sort of that H-back fullback guy, he's not just a tight end. He also has some rushing, 17 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. Led Syracuse's tight end group in catches and yards in 2025. So obviously they're poking around at some of that versatility. Also at the Hulu Bowl, they met with UCLA offensive tackle Ruben Unije. That was reported by draft guy Jimmy. He's listed on the consensus board at 434, so probably UDFA. Probably a little bit of an older guy, even though his age isn't listed. 4 years at Houston and then 2 years at UCLA. Very up and down. I mean, in terms of his starts, in terms of his grades, in terms of his pass blocking and run blocking, everything is just all over the place with this guy. Listed at 6'6", 315 pounds. He's got experience at both left and right tackle. He did have a season-ending injury in 2024 after starting 4 games at left tackle, but returned to start 10 games in 2025. Then there is the College Gridiron Showcase. There they met with several people, including Tunde Fatukasi. There's a lot of Fatukasis, by the way. There's some in the NFL. There's like 3 in college. It's a popular name, I guess. But 4 years at Bowling Green, kind of had a little bit of a breakout year in 2025. His run blocking grades were 60, 60, 50, 70-ish. I'm doing a lot of rounding. And then the pass blocking grades were 40, 60, 60, and then a 74 this past year. And it even got better toward the end of the year. It was 40, 60, 80, 40, 40, which is not a great start. Then 70, 70, 70, 70, 80, 80, 80. His run blocking also improved. So that dude seemed to get better as time went on year-wise as well as week-wise. He also has played all 5 positions. He played left and right tackle in his first year. He played left guard in 2023. He played left tackle and right guard in 2024. And then he played left tackle and center in 2025. He has 1,500 left tackle snaps, 345 left guard snaps, 72 center snaps, 315 right guard snaps, and 55 right tackle snaps. This guy's got Packer written all over him. He's not listed on the consensus big board, so we'll see. But kind of seems pretty legit, if you ask me. 6'5", 310, if I didn't say that. Preseason All-MAC mentions and academic academic All-MAC recognition. Dude's smart, too. Goot's going to love this guy. And then there was another offensive lineman out of FIU, Julius Pierce. Another guy that's got Packer written all over him, although the grades are not fantastic. But 360 snaps at left guard, 1,600 at center, 99 right guard, 145 at right tackle. So he's a center with a lot of flexibility. Interestingly enough, his only good year, and this is only in pass blocking, was when he played at guard primarily. All the other years are all over the place. But he played 2 years at FIU, 2 at Middle Tennessee, and then back to FIU in 2025. So, again, makes sense that this is a guy you want to kind of get your hands on because there's a lot of question marks here. 2 different schools over 5 different years. Grades are all over the place. Positions are all over the place. Kind of tough to parse that all out. 6'5", 290 is what he's listed at. Earned all CUSA second team and third team honors and CUSA Offensive Lineman of the Week recognition at least once. Then they met with Old Dominion edge rusher Chris Trinidad. This guy is pretty intriguing. He's, again, not on the consensus board, so we're kind of trying to find some diamonds in the rough here, but Old Dominion, 6'5", 272, big dude, really good run defender. Right, so, again, 6'5", 272, it kind of fits. But his pass rushing got better every year. 57, 59, 68, 69 were his pass rush grades. His run defense also got better, but was his strongest asset. 51, 77, 80, and then 81. So the final year, he had a 80 grade, 81 run defense, 69 tackling, 69 pass rush. The stats weren't as good as a pass rusher, but Sometimes when you are kind of the guy, you end up with double teams and all that stuff. Generally, if your grade is good, it's not as big of a deal, but pretty intriguing. Again, probably UDFA prospect. Team captain, preseason All-Sun Belt selection in 2025. Led the team in tackles for a loss, among the top pass rush producers. Forced multiple turnovers and impactful plays and big wins, including multi-sack and multi-force fumble performances. Old Dominion's career sack leader among defenders in program history with 14.5 career sacks, which is not very high. I'm surprised that is any kind of an accolade. Then they met with 6'2", 215-pound Jace Bauer. Dude is a stud quarterback. However, he is at Tennessee Martin, Tennessee Martin Skyhawks. But he had 204 completions, 71% completion rate, 2,000 yards passing, 7 yards per attempt, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 89 PFF grade, 82 passing grade, 81 rushing grade, which, that's got to be fun. 5.3% big-time throw rate, 2.5% turnover-worthy play rate, 98.3 NFL passer rating. Spent 2 years at Central Michigan, 1 at Sam Houston, and then 1 at Tennessee Martin. OVC Big South, second team all-conference. Phil Steele, all-conference third team. He also adds to that 579 rushing yards, 5.1 yards per attempt, 10 rushing touchdowns to 2 fumbles. Again, 81.3 rushing grade. Also met with Old Dominion cornerback Batros Alessandro. He is not on the consensus board. He has a 71 coverage grade, just 2 years at Purdue, and then 1 year at Old Dominion. Little bit on the smaller side at 6'1", 188, if that's, actually correct. And then lastly, for the Gridiron Showcase is Akron's Malcolm DeWalt. Not on the consensus board, not even in PFF, but redshirt senior, listed at 6'2", about 200 pounds. Transferred into Akron after stops at Snow College and Butte College, where he was a productive playmaker before joining the FBS ranks. And then at the Dream Bowl, they only met with UW Eau Claire's wide receiver Yak Shule. Wild and crazy name. No information about this guy. PFF has him at Black Hills State Yellow Jackets in 2023. I'm guessing he went to Eau Claire after that, which is why he's not even on PFF, because I don't think they cover that. But led Eau Claire's wideouts with 607 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns in 2025, averaging 16.4 yards per catch. Smaller dude listed at 5'10", 180. And then I think the last one we'll do for today is the American Bowl. We'll save the East, West, and Panini, and then we'll, obviously, any updates from there, we'll, update it. But wide receiver out of Rutgers, D.T. Sheffield. Another smaller guy listed at 5'10", 175. Spent 3 different years at 3 different schools, which is weird. He was at Washington State, didn't really start there. North Texas, he did start. That was his best year. He had a 74 grade, 77 receiving grade, 816 yards, 12.4 yards per reception, 11 touchdowns. 2025, he went to Rutgers. Grades went down, but, you got a bigger school, more exposure, all that stuff. 577 yards, 13.1 yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns, 62 PFF grade. Then we finally get a defensive tackle, Ontario Thompson out of Washington, 6'4", 306 pounds. Again, 3 years at 3 schools. Only played 2 snaps at Iowa. Then 2024 went to Western Michigan, where it didn't go super well, even though he started. 60 grade, 51 run defense, but a 70 pass rush grade. Then he goes to Washington and has a great year. 76 grades, 74 run defense, 70 pass rush, 16 pressures on 250 attempts is not great, 3 sacks, but again, the grades are there and the run defense is there, which is obviously going to end up being intriguing. And 6'4", 306 is pretty decent size, especially if you're looking for more of a pass rushing type of guy. Another smaller guy, Michael Dansby, cornerback, 5'11", 185, 3 years at San Jose State, and then finally 1 year at Arizona. All 4 years went relatively well. 75, 70, 65, and 74 were his overall grades. Ended his career, he did give up 10 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions and 20 pass breakups, which is a lot. He had 13 in his last 2 years. His NFL passer rating, it's kind of funny to call it that, when in college, but passer rating 76.4 for his career. His 1 year at Arizona, his final year, 74 overall grade, 75 coverage grade, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, 56.3 passer rating when targeted. So not terrible. Again, undersized, but intriguing. Another small guy, Alzillian Hamilton out of Fresno State, 5'11", 185, spent 4 years at Fresno State, 3 years as a starter. The last 2 years were really solid. So his first year he didn't really play. Second year didn't go great, 55 grade, 57 overall. Then he kind of broke out. It was basically 280s, 79.7 and 78.2. His coverage grades were 79 and 79. Ended his career 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 26 pass breakups, 76.1 passer rating. 2025, it was a 52.2. He is a little bit more consistent than Dansby. Dansby had a lot of very, very high games, very low. This is much more like 60, 70 every single week. So a little bit probably safer, but again, both guys pretty small. Then out of Maryland, we have tackle Alan Herron. He's actually 233 on the consensus big board, so, a day 3 draft pick. 6'6", 320 pounds. 80 pass blocking grade, 60 run blocking grade. He's built to be a Green Bay Packer. On the consensus board, he's actually listed as an interior offensive lineman. Maybe. At 6'6", 320, I don't see why that would be necessary unless they just don't think he has the movement skills or something. But he's only ever played tackle, almost exclusively right tackle with a little bit of left tackle, and had a big breakout year this year. So that'll be kind of interesting to keep an eye on, Mr. Alan Herron. I don't know about the interior thing. If that is the case, then I could see why he'd be a little bit lower on the list. But relatively big school, breakout year, dominant pass blocker. Certainly intriguing if the belief is he can be a tackle. And we got Daquan Finn, quarterback out of Miami, Ohio. He's actually on the consensus board at 856. There are 857 prospects on there. So he is... He made the list, so there's that. But this dude has played some football. My goodness. He spent 5 years at Toledo, then 1 year at Baylor, then 1 year at Miami, Ohio. So lots of football. 8 years? 7 years. But he is, looks like he missed some time too. He played weeks 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. So you got age issues, you've got injury issues, but that's what makes these guys intriguing. He's a good football player, but, is it worth it? Does have some rushing ability, 447 yards, 5.3 per attempt, 4 touchdowns, 70 rushing grade, to go along with his 67 passing grade, 1,400 yards, 8.1 yards per attempt, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, not the greatest ratio in the world. Long collegiate track record, MAC MVP season in 2023, and significant rushing and passing output. After 8 starts in 2025, he opted out of the remainder of the season to train for the NFL draft. So that's what happened there. Pretty weird situation. Then they met with Nebraska linebacker Javin Wright, 6'5", 230, pretty big dude. Has 5 years at Nebraska, 80 PFF grade, 82 run defense, 76 tackling, 66 pass rush, 73 coverage, pretty solid across the board. 5 pressures on 35 attempts and 2 sacks, 10% missed tackle rate, 29 stops, 18 receptions, 131 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 1 pass breakup, 65.4 passer rating when targeted. Led Nebraska with 86 tackles, 9 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 4 pass breakups, and a pick. Double-digit tackles games against Michigan and Michigan State. His tackle and tackle for a loss totals ranked among Big Ten defensive leaders. He received honorable mention All Big Ten recognition. Then we got tight end R.J. Maryland out of SMU. He is ranked consensus 413 on the big board. 4 years at SMU. His start numbers actually went down from 500 to 600 the first 2 years to 200, 300 the next 2 years. And his first 2 years were his worst 2 years. So the less he plays, the better. The intriguing thing about him is that his pass blocking grades have been phenomenal every single year. 73, 70, 69, 74. Unfortunately, you very rarely do that. It's usually run blocking, and his run blocking grades are horrendous. 39, 36, 55, 42. Receiving grades are average, 60s. As far as his actual production here, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. So not much to go off of there. That's one of those things where let's see if he runs blazing fast 40. Otherwise, I don't know what we're talking about. And then lastly, we have Malik Silla, edge rusher out of Mississippi State. 6'3", 235, very, very small. Used obviously as more pressure, quarterback contain, and chase roles. Special teams contributor, which could be part of the equation here, I suppose. I would assume, again, he's listed as an edge rusher on the consensus board. I would assume he's just going to be an off-ball linebacker. PFF has him 3 years at Texas A&M, 1 year at Mississippi State, 27 pressures and 2 sacks on 148 attempts. Pressure numbers are fine. Sack numbers are not great. His grades are not great. 59 run defense, 64 pass rush. Not a ton of intrigue here. He is listed at 6'6", 255 via PFF, which would make more sense. Otherwise, I mean, if he's actually 235, we're talking linebacker here, like off ball. So we'll have to see. All right. So these are smaller bowls. You're going to get smaller prospects. Probably won't hear a ton of these names, but again, these are day 3 to UDFA guys. Tomorrow, again, we'll talk more about Pro Bowl stuff, but eventually we'll get back to this and look at some of the meetings they had at the East-West Shrine. They're going to be bigger prospects that we're going to be hearing more about. Senior Bowl so far, they've met with one guy out of Wisconsin, Vinny Anthony, who had a pretty good day, was getting some praise at the Senior Bowl. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But anywho, I'm going to leave it at that. You all have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.